when Katie asked me to say where I had been before I came to Times Change. I thought I would share it, and I think it'll give you a little bit of perspective of where I was at. And it's actually a legend. It's an old Cherokee legend. And it's a grandfather who gathers the children at his feet, and he says to them, there's a battle raging inside of you. And it is a battle between two wolves. And it is a fierce battle. And it's a battle between two wolves, one of which is light and positive. It's optimistic, it's hopeful, and it's filled with courage. And the other wolf is a dark wolf. It's negative. It's worried. It's frightened. It's concerned. And the fight is going on and the battle is going. And the children looked at the grandfather, they took the words in, and finally one of them said to him, but grandfather, which wolf will win? And the elder looked at him and he said, the one that you feed. And where I was before I came to Times Change was really beginning to feed the dark wolf. I come from a background in communications, and I had been doing contract work for nonprofits and government organizations for a number of years. I'd also started a business working with seniors for brain health and supporting them in remaining independent in their homes. But the financial change that occurred in 2009 really had an impact on me, and my finances were getting tighter and tighter, and jobs were getting harder and harder to find. But even beyond my wallet, there was kind of an uncertainty for me about how to go forward. I wasn't sure whether I wanted to pursue dealing with seniors. I was becoming clearer and clearer. I didn't want to follow up with communications, but that really had been the bulk of my income for a very, very long time. So I began to look around at the beginning of 2012. I began to look around for options that might be available to me and things that I might like to pursue. And I found myself in a couple of other job search agencies that are in the city. There are plenty of them. And I found my experience with them to be them offering cookie cutter services, really nominal support, not an awful lot of understanding of my position, of my age, and really nothing exploratory, nothing that I felt appreciated the position that I found myself in. My sister had been a Times Change client as well, and had taken the career workshop, and she suggested it very highly, and I thought, well, I'll go and I'll give it a try. And so I did. And what a difference. You know, if the other agencies that I went to was kind of a feast for the dark wolf, it was an absolute banquet for the light wolf when I got here. So I got involved in the career workshop, and I found really a community. You know, the motto for the other one might have been misery loves company. I think for Times Change, it's more two minds are better than one. And it's more than two minds. There's a real community here, and there's a real community of spirit and a real feeling of people who are pulling for you, people who have been where you've been, people who are where you are, women who care, services that really make a difference, and that have been designed and developed dynamically and interactively to really let women take advantage of, understand themselves in a better way, and take advantage of that. So I not only discovered my skills and my interests, but I also got a really good taste of my strengths. And I'm confident that that would not have been my experience had I not found Times Change. I suspect I probably would have sort of decided that I would pursue communication, and I would have soldiered on. But I think that the world is changing, and I know I'm a woman of a certain age, and I suspect that I will be working for many, many, many years to come. And the idea of moving forward with an occupation that really was not speaking to me or to my heart was very discouraging and disheartening to me. And Times Change made a real difference to that. So through the program, I realized that I wanted to pursue life coaching. And I did that. I've studied something called strategic intervention, that is a training that's offered by Tony Robbins and Lauren Adonis, that is just really a perfect fit for me and my style. And I'm also currently right now working in Regent Park in the revitalization with the Christian Resource Center. I have a contract there that will fulfill shortly. I'm tying up my coaching training, and I've done my practicum and my intern, and I'm working on my final paper, and I've worked with some clients, I've received some recommendations, and so it all seems to be turning around, and the good wolf is starting to begin the game, or win the game. But beyond all of that, and I really do feel like I'm a terrific success in Times Change, and I'm so grateful, and I would really be remiss if I didn't tell all of you how grateful I am to all of you for the kind of support and financial support, but not just that, I'm sure emotional, attentive support. I look forward someday to being part of that number and being in the same league. But in the meantime, I just really would like to say thank you from the bottom of my heart.
I'm Caitlin. I was told not to bring notes, but I brought them just rules. Be a rebel. Thank you so much for hosting us, and the lovely food. My tummy's happy. How can I speak in just a few minutes about the wonderful bonds that have been forged here at Times Change? How those bonds have diminished a brand new immigrant to Canada's feeling of loneliness, and made me feel part of Canada, but more importantly, part of the workforce here. The staff are change makers, confidence builders, and best of all, they care. And they really care. My father wasn't ill, and wonderful South African Jean always asked about him when I popped in and checked in. And those little things are part of what make this place so humane and wonderful. A year ago, I left behind a career in London in the diamond industry and landed in Canada to help my beloved father move away from a farm that he loved but was too old to live in anymore. And I found myself kind of dealing with aging parents and a new country, and I was jobless, which was frightening, and I didn't have a grid for sort of how to manage it. A friend mentioned Times Change, and after a few visits I decided to take the job search workshop, and it transformed my life, thanks to Cynthia mostly. It first of all just did something very simple, which is to put a stop to what I was doing. I was searching for jobs online, so I thought I was quite clever at sort of 3 a.m. when I was suffering from insomnia, sending off resumes, and that was getting me nowhere fast, so that was stopped very quickly. Next, Cynthia sort of taught all of us to stop slogging away looking for a job, but get focused on what excites you and look for companies that really you want to be a part of, which is exactly what I've done. And it's working. People are calling back. I'm getting in to see people, and something will come of it, which is very exciting. I had lots of corporate training. I worked for AC Nielsen out of New York. I worked for Condé Nast, who published Vogue. And none of the training I got at any of those companies matched what Cynthia taught me in that workshop. And also the safety that I feel when I come in here. You know, it's one thing to be at home looking for a job. It's another thing to come into the center, be surrounded by women, to share the odd tale with someone who's, you know, shoulder to shoulder with you at the computers. And it just makes you feel part of a collective. I was asked by Katie to say, where would I be without Times Change? Well, I'd most probably be on a jet plane heading back to London. I'd be feeling very alone, and I wouldn't feel like I have a support system, which I found here, which is wonderful. The place has banished, you know, sort of a feeling of being a new immigrant, and made me feel part of this country as well, which is terrific. I also learned something very vital at the workshop, which is to get out and tell my story. And I do that now in interviews. I tell tales not just about jobs, but about my life. And I've lived in many different countries, and it's bringing them alive. And that was just a very simple tool that I got from the workshop. Telling one's story can kind of propel one's career forward. And it can be all the stories, and as women, we have so many stories to tell. one of the men, actually, a friend of mine who I told about this place, said, "How come the guys don't have one of those?" So within days of leaving the course, I got a job. It's just a job. It's in the evenings, but it meets my needs. It keeps the wolves from the door, and it gives me time to kind of climb back into the diamond industry, which is what I want to be part of. And I'm not sure what Cynthia puts in her porridge every morning, but she is wonderfully positive. She has, with great serenity and purpose and loads of optimism, really just made me feel like I can get a job in Canada. So thank you, Cynthia. Going back to that idea of bonds forged, next week all of the women in the course are meeting for coffee, and I think that will be something we'll do on an ongoing basis. And that connectedness, that feeling that I can turn to these women when I'm having a good day or a bad day is priceless. It's a coup, particularly as a new immigrant personally as well as professionally. So in closing, I'd like to offer thanks to all of you that make this possible, to Cynthia, to Katie, her enthusiasm is contagious, to Nusrat and Umu, who are very patient when I'm tearing out my hair trying to print something out, and to the incredibly humane approach that everyone here embodies. It makes me feel safe, and it's a beacon of light. So thank